Hello there, I'm Victoria. Welcome to my channel. Today I'd like to show you the design process behind one of my characters. It's not exactly a tutorial, just a little insight into how I think when designing a character. I've been putting off making actual character sheets for a while, but it's useful to have all the visual information on your character in one place, especially if you plan on making a comic or an animation. You want to make sure the design stays consistent, and that's what the reference sheet is for. Well, today's subject is Eden. He's one of the main characters in a mystery story I'm working on. First things first, I'll start with sketching the pose. Eden is curious and friendly, if a bit naive. He loves reading, so he knows a lot about a lot, but lacks in real-world experience. And for the full body reference, I wanted something that conveys his personality. Think golden retriever energy and starry eyes. He's an OC that I have had for a while, but he hasn't changed that much overall design-wise. I had a fairly clear idea of what I wanted him to look like. Unfortunately, my old iPad suddenly stopped working and I lost all my files, so I only have some low-quality PNGs that I had sent to my sister to show for it. I don't really have a specific template I follow for character sheets, though turnarounds are usually good to have for reference from all the different POVs. However, since I love giving my characters a lot of different outfits, I love putting my characters in pretty clothes. I'll go with one full body and then I'll just focus on their face and hair, which will stay the same for the most part. So I'm drawing a headshot and the back of the head, eyes close up and props and important details, plus a half body to showcase somewhere of his personality, and because the canvas felt empty otherwise, and an extra chibi just for fun. For the headshot specifically, I used the symmetry tool on Procreate to make it easier since it's front facing. I think soft features fit Eden nicely, but I wanted his eyes to look a bit sharper since he's very observant and can be a bit sneaky too sometimes. I gave him an asymmetrical haircut with some spiky strands here and there. It's nothing revolutionary, but I think it works well next to the other main characters, and I think it's cute, so I'm happy with it. Also notable, but something I somehow seem to always forget, is that he has a lot of scars from an accident as a child, so when they are not covered by clothes, he uses bandages. And you can see them peeking through on his neck if you look closely. The story is a mystery thriller with some psychological elements and a gothic novel Victorian vibe, or at least that's what I'm going for. There's multiple countries with different aesthetics. I even made a mood board for it, and I'd like the fashion to reflect that somehow. When I browse Pinterest, I always end up saving so many pins thinking, oh, this character would definitely wear this, or this would suit this character so much. But now I have so many, it's hard to find a specific one I'm looking for. When designing clothes for a character, I like to see the different outfits next to each other, so it's easier to tell if something feels all over the place for that character to wear, or if it makes sense for the situation. I start with a symmetry tool for this too, but I also try to add asymmetrical details to make it more interesting. And I dress the characters up, comparing the different sketches with each other. I think it's also good to put the different characters next to each other to see if they work well together or contrast nicely, and if they are recognizable. That's what characters lineups are for, but we'll get there when we get there. Because the characters will travel to another country early on in the story, I want a couple of outfits that will suit the place. The vibe for the chibi and off-body outfits is Victorian England, but the kind you've seen in films. Maybe a bit steampunk too. I'm sorry, I'm not an history expert, or fashion expert, or anything expert really. I just hope I can get the idea across. I want the clothes to feel heavier there and the silhouette to be tighter with waistcoats, belts and harnesses, but less strict in the back with long coats and bustles maybe. The outfits Eden will wear while there are borrowed, at least at first, so I'll keep that in mind while designing them. As for the full body, I wanted the outfit to be from the country Eden is from. Think summer by the lake, but more idyllic and fairy tale-like. That's what I was going for. The fashion there is flowing and softer looking, but with some more structured elements like corsets and visible hoop skirts. I don't know if it makes sense, but it sounds cool in my head. I also want ribbons and pearls. I feel like they suit the flowery lake scenery nicely, and when in doubt, just add pearls. To be honest, my sister says my style is basically horror vacui, and she's not wrong. I like adding stuff to my drawings, but I'm trying to remove some pointless details since they aren't very comic friendly. Okay, now for this little guy next to Eden. His name is Noel, though it may change if I find something I like better. It's a work in progress. Noel was supposed to be a cat at first, but then I figured that some tiny robot-like creature would suit it better, so here we are. The inspiration were Team Campy from the Grey Man and those biblically accurate angels memes. More wings, I say. I actually wanted to give it more eyes, but since it's tiny, it would end up looking messy in a comic, so I made myself a favor and gave up on the idea. But I gave it little bird feet. They are so silly and I love it. It kind of reminds me of the dog in Howl's Moving Castle, who looks like he knows the secrets of the world, but also there's no thought behind those eyes, and he wouldn't tell you anyway, so it's perfect. Anyway, I'm not going to fully render everything since I only need it for reference, and if I finally get around to actually make the comic, I think it would be best to use very simple coloring with minimal rendering. The color palette for the clothes is also different depending on where they are. Eden's main color are pale indigo and yellow, the colors of his hair and eyes, with some teal here and there, and sometimes pink to match another character. I tend to gravitate towards either light desaturated colors or really dark ones. But I try to keep in mind the character's personality and where they are when coloring different outfits. For Eden's country, I imagine more pastel and desaturated colors that fits the soft airy vibe, so the character's clothes should show that. But I wanted to add some darker colors to Eden too, since I think it suits this family's mysteriousness and makes them feel a bit other too. The other country, on the other hand, has a lot more browns and greys with deeper, darker colors, so its clothes are also darker while still keeping his signature colors. And for my favorite part, the blush! It's such a little thing, but I feel like the characters look more alive after I add blush. I ended up adding more details on the hair too. It wasn't part of the plan, but I like how it turned out. Finally, I added some more information about the character and the color palette, but I used Keynote to do that on my computer since I thought it would be easier. And with all that, the design sheet is done! I ended up using more layers than I expected, and I blame it on the hair at the end. Thanks for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed. I'll probably do more of this for my other characters, or at least that's the plan, and hopefully share more about the story too. Until next time, good night.